Hello, this is Dave Gimberline with Shotoryu Goshinjutsu and Kata for self-defense. Welcome to another kitchen training program. Today we're going to go through the Shuhari requirements for the first Q exam, which is the highest level of brown belt before you test for black belt at Shodan, and the Kata Bassai. So in the kitchen here we're going to do basically the same warm-up we did last time, except I'm not going to explain it all, we're just going to do it. So you can go back to the earlier kitchen interview or lesson if you want to go through more of a breakdown on how to do the kicks. So put your feet together, out. Pick up one foot, go around with your ankle and toes. Switch, away. Other foot. Other way. Feet together, around with your knees. Other way. Feet apart, around with your hips. Other way. Make sure you have room. Swing your arms around. Switch. Cross. Twist. Kick up your heels. I'd like to do a few of these squat things. So squat, put your hands on the floor, straighten your legs, squat, straighten, squat, straighten, squat, straighten, and squat. Hip, roll your hip a little bit. Side, side. Squeeze one knee into your chest. Switch. 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 And switch. Push your arm behind. Switch out your leg a little. Switch. Switch. And switch. Alright, shake out your legs. Starting out, we're going to use the counter for support. Your goal is to do 10 front kicks without putting your leg down, concentrating on the pressure to the floor for both the body mechanic and the expansion contraction of your center. So to start with, pick your knee up in the middle, make sure this leg is bent, rock your hip a little bit, do 5 of these with the rock. 1, expand, contract, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now try 5 without the rock. You can only push down and up, down and up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Show your hip. Switch, other leg. Move your knee in, rock, back and forth. When you're stable, do 5. You can rock a little bit. Expand, contract. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now try 5 without the rock. You can only make pressure down into the floor and up into the kick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Show your leg. Roundhouse kicks. You can stretch your leg out a little bit if you want. Coil like a front kick. Push this hip out. Rotate. Rock back and forth. Nice and easy for your roundhouse kick. 5 with a swing. 1, swing. 2, expand, contract. 3, 4, 5. I'm going to switch over the other leg. 5 rocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more without the wind up. You can only make the down pressure to go around. Roundhouse kick, settle in. expand, contract. 2, expand, contract. 3, 4, 5. Leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The biggest thing on those is to avoid hopping. So as much as you can while you're going sideways, avoid this leg popping up every time you kick. And sometimes you're not aware of it. It helps to look in a mirror. It helps to have somebody else tell you, you're coming up. Side snaps. Squeeze this leg in nice and tight. Other leg. Alright, you're going to push down on one side and pick up on the other. Start from a nice coil. 1, expand, contract. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Strong with your hip. Now, I explained before that when I do the sequence, after the side snaps, I do the side thrusts. But a lot of times when I'm first explaining it to people, I have them do the back thrust first because it kind of teaches them the right body position and muscle action. So one more time here, we're going to do the back thrust first. Coil your leg up like a front snap kick. Tip your hip back. Squeeze down into the floor. And then come back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch feet. One leg up, like a front snap kick. Tip your hip and thrust. One and drop down into the floor. Stomach pressure pushing towards your inner thigh. Back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, side thrust. You're going to coil your knee up high, like the beginning of a side snap, and then make the pressure down to the floor and thrust. I want your support foot to pivot as much as it needs to while you're doing that thrust. And turn your hip towards the floor. Turning it too far is better than not turning it at all. Coil like a side snap. Up. Lift and then thrust. So if we're going to do 2 counts for a minute, up is 1, 2, thrust, and then back. Up, 2, up, 2, 7 more, up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And around here. Other leg up. In 2 counts. Up high is 1. Pivot and thrust. 2. And back. 1, 2. 1, 2. Thrust. 1, 7, and round with your hips. Switch. Okay, so now I'm going to go through the basics for first cue. We're going to do 2 steps, so 2 stances forward, 2 stances back. We might do it a few times. The test basics, the Kihon, for the Shotoryu Institute, you can download at the link that's below. It's like shotoryuinstitute.org, and exam basics or exam brochure. I'll put the link below. But anyway, it's similar to many of the JKA basics. It's going to start out with a shift and then a shift jab and then a step triple punch. So start here in fighting position, kind of 50-50 weight distribution. Shock your back leg through your center, drive forward and jab, that's 1. Then step forward, triple punch, 2. And then recover. Jab, 1, 2. Turn. Jab, 1, 2. 1, 2. Turn. So I want to talk about this just a little bit. If you're already in sort of a 45-degree sideways position from kumite, there is very little twisting of your hip this way. It makes you more unstable. There's not a mechanical advantage there. You do want to stay sideways, but some of you might feel like this hip is driving forward towards this hand this way because it helps you pull your center together. So a little bit of that is okay. This combination shows one of my favorite principles, and that is that your bones are driving forward into the target, your frame, but your muscles are pulling back all the way into your back heel. So I like that sensation that as my frame drives forward, you contract back into your foot, which eventually will be in all of the techniques. A couple more times. 1, 2. Turn. 1, 2. 1, 2. Backwards, rising block, front kick with your front leg, counter punch. Step back and block. 1. Try to make good pressure down to the floor. This drives forward. 2, 3. 1, 2. Turn. 1, 2. 1, 2. On these series 2, I want to talk about your drawing arm. Let's see this way. Pull all the way down into your back foot with your drawing arm. Do a good recoil and then pull that drawing arm again down into your back heel. It will help your whole frame move a little bit. Continuing backwards. 1, 2. Squeeze, pull. 1, 2. Squeeze, pull. All right, very good. Left leg forward. Next series. Outside block. Elbow strike, back fist strike, counter punch. The way we do it in our region is you step forward to an outside block in front stance. This is 1. Twist your hip. In and out with your footwork for the elbow strike. In, drive, and kibadachi. Use your legs. Drive, drive. Back fist strike. Pivot by pulling your drawing arm into a counter punch. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn. 1, 2, in and out. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 things as we do this. The elbow strike position feels a little bit like you're coiling across with your palm up, and as you drive out, your forearm is driving straight into the target, straight. Rather than bigger, which is better, this puts this in line with your shoulders and spine, which is very unstable. Now the truth is, just a little bit past straight, a little bit past here is stronger. So it's okay that this kind of meets in the middle. Just don't let it go past there so it's in line with your shoulder. The second thing is, as you improve at the dynamic, the launch of this back fist is also your counter punch. So you're going to, instead of going 1, 2, it kind of goes 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. Just gets thrown out and the drawing arm pulls you around. One more time back this way. 1, outside block, elbow straight, back to straight. 2, 3, 4. Inside block, moving backwards, jab, counter punch. So I'm going to move down here, step back, inside block this way, use your leg, jab, counter punch. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I guess I'll do it this way. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Knife hand blocks, front kick, spear hand strike. We do this going both forwards and backwards. And it's actually a much more useful technique, in my opinion, than people usually think it is. You're going to step forward into a back stance, Seiko Kutsudachi. Down, up pressure here, squeeze, spear hand strike, driving. 1, 2. Backwards. 1, 2. 1, 2. Forwards. 1, 2. 1, 2. Don't kick your chair. 1, 2. 1, 2. Kicking, I believe, comes next. Front kicks with your front leg, back leg, and then roundhouse kicks. On both of these, try to get the sensation that your body recoils to center while your knee is still up. So 2 kicks is not, a double kick is not this. Kick, drop, kick, drop. A double kick is squeeze, go. So that was 1. So you don't have to hold this after you know what to do, but for training purposes, squeeze, 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 squeeze. And then when you go a little faster, you don't actually stop there, but your body still expands and contracts. Even more important on the roundhouse kicks. Try not to stand up. Try instead to drop into the floor. So roundhouse kick with your front leg. 1, squeeze, 2, squeeze. 1, 2. One, two. 1, 2. 1. Snap, snap. 2. Snap. 1, 2. Turn it up. I rest for just a moment. Side kick, cross leg behind. So I will do this both ways. The way they teach it nowadays is to cross behind, pivot your foot, and then thrust. Cross behind, thrust. The more traditional way was to cross in front, coil, thrust. In front, coil, thrust. So I don't particularly care which one you do. I do care that you settle down into the floor and your center feels dropping at the point of impact. Couple this way while I'm facing the target. This is cross behind. 1, 2, cross in front. 1, 2, hip, rest. These kitchen workouts are a bit more difficult than I had anticipated. So are the hallway ones. So this one says side kick, step and punch. Which again, doing the Shotoryu, start here, thrust, step and punch. I don't have quite enough room to step all the way out. Thrust, step and punch. Another acceptable version is a side thrust from fighting position this way, and then step and punch. Next, back thrust counter punch. I'm going to break the back thrust down a little bit. Please make sure when you're spinning, you have room so you don't hit your leg, your knee, your head on something. You don't kick a chair. My breakdown from fighting position, so you're going to spin on your front foot so your heel travels towards the target. So you're spinning the ball of your foot, turning your butt towards the target, but leave your foot behind this way. Then thrust straight backwards, recoil, and punch. I think I have room. Spin on your ball of foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Spin. Nice and easy. 1, 2, 3. Hip, rest. Next combination. Front kick, roundhouse kick with the same leg, counter punch. So, anytime you do multiple kicks with one leg, what you want to avoid doing is an isolated motion with your leg. So the front kick, roundhouse kick, for instance, is not leg, leg, and then fall. You want your center to direct your actions. So it will help if on the front kick you get a good solid recoil this way, and then you drop the pressure to roundhouse kick. And then a counter punch, and then a counter punch. Squeeze, squeeze, punch. Squeeze, squeeze, punch. 1, snap, snap, go. 2, snap, snap, go. That's enough of that. Roundhouse kick, back thrust kick, counter punch. Starting with your back leg. So my big problem here is room. There are people that teach you when you do a combination like this. This is going to be in Washigiri, Shotokan, Gyakuzuki. That it's important to go back to the stance. So it will have you go 1, land, 2, thrust, 3. There are good reasons for training that have to do with precision of movement, but in this case, not for applicability, not for applying it. So because you know you have a back thrust coming, after this roundhouse kick, drop down with your foot facing that way, and then drive into your back thrust and counter punch. 1, 2, 3. And again, make sure you don't run out of room. I'm having a tough time fitting it in the kitchen without hitting the table or the cupboard. So if you see my foot pull, that's why. Don't do that in real life. In real life, I want, for real training, not in your kitchen, you have a stable base that you move from, and you drive, getting distance, and you go. 1, snap, rest, go. Alright, rest. Alright, we got to be about out of combinations now. Yes. In place right now, we have the front snap, side thrust. Maigiri, yoko kikomi, Maigiri, yoko kiagi, yoko kekomi. So snap, snap, thrust. Later, for Shodan, we have 4-way kicks. Front snap, side thrust, roundhouse. And for Nidan, you have 5-way kicks. And I want to touch on those just a little bit, but first we'll do these. In 3-way kicks again, or any multiple kicks, you do not want to just kick with your leg, kick, kick, kick. That's got nothing to do with what we consider to be real karate. You want to move from your center to get a maximum body shock on each action. So your hip snaps and your body expands and contracts here. Then you expand and contract sideways. Then you thrust by dropping into the floor. And then you come back. So concentrate on the kimes, on the part where your body squeezes together. Squeeze, squeeze, thrust. That's the squeeze. And then it can get lighter, bounce, bounce, thrust. But you're still doing your center on each one of those. I'm going to try my other foot, but again, this is my bad leg, so this is going to go a little lighter. 1, 2, 3. Back. 1, 2, 3. Back. 1, 2, 3. Back. So we're going to blend into the 5-way kicks right here because there's 2 principles I want to get across. One is when people are doing a recoil on their front snap or their side snap or their roundhouse, they don't get a base. So from the side here, if I let my butt come out, I'm just teeter-tottering on my leg, and I hope I can do these, and it looks very sloppy. So try to keep this point as your center. You're going to squeeze against it from here. This is your control center. Snap, snap, thrust, snap. That's 4. Life will get better if you work at that. The second idea has to do with habitual, unnecessary motion, in this case recoils. So if I'm doing a 5-way kick series, people often go snap, snap, thrust, recoil, snap, recoil, kick, recoil, put your foot down. 3 extra recoils and a lot of sloppiness in movement. So the first one to get rid of is after the thrust. Your thrust is a locked position, settling into the floor, snap, snap. Your recoil from here goes this way, snap down. So it does not go 1, 2, 3. It goes 1, 2, because you snapped your hip that way. You do move your knee, but your hip is where I think you should concentrate. So just try that for a second. Snap, snap, thrust, snap. And the more you practice that, the better you'll get at it. And you'll start to realize that you were wasting your time there with that extra recoil. The back thrust is a little harder for people to understand, but to me, it's the most fun. The idea is that your foot is already out there for your roundhouse kick, and you can thrust from here, but people don't. They recoil, and they have a little half of a thrust. So what I want you to try to do is thrust from your extreme point to your contact point, and mostly it just requires that you drive your hip backwards. So if you can lay your foot out here on a table or have a friend hold it, and then your hip is sideways because you just did a roundhouse kick. How do I go backwards? Get this to go, go, go. It's a big, long thrust. And even then, I started slowly. I want to start a little sooner with my thrust. So your foot's out there, then you thrust all the way back that way. The sensation when you're doing it is that your snaps are very, very light, especially that roundhouse kick, and the thrusts are heavy. So the rhythm sort of goes light, light, heavy, light, heavy. Drive, drive. Not going to do my other side today, but you could take a moment and do the other side. The only thing left on this test is a controlled test of punching. People have a pen and they move it around, front and back, up and down. Try to see if your body is driving your arm. Under stress, a lot of people quit using their legs and they just do their hand. And the other one is, do you have the ability to stop the punch in a controlled fashion if you need to, rather than just throwing it out there and smacking whatever's in front of you. Then there's the kumite, the partner work, which in this test is done from kumite, juipans. There's one step and punch head, one step and punch stomach, chudan, one maigiri, one washigiri, one side kick, which again they launch with this leg, one back thrust, one shift, jabbing for the head, one shift, jabbing for the body. So this is kind of a conglomeration of the old traditional stuff where almost everything was done from steps, and trying to also learn the new skills where everything's done from a shift and you don't have as much time to understand the motion. So I think they're both worthwhile doing. So then as a defender, you have to train yourself. Okay, here comes a step and punch. I'm going to go 1, 2. Here comes a body shot. I'm going to go 1, 2. Here comes my front kick. I might go 1, 2. Here comes the, side thrust with this leg. I might go 1, 2. Oh, moashigiri. Forgot the moashigiri. Moashigiri, I love going in. And so literally, when somebody starts with that roundhouse kick, you can just drive forward with that hand, or for that matter, that hand, and you will get there most of the time. To make it work better with your partner right now, as they start the roundhouse kick, you're going to shift to the inside, maybe cover and then counter. The back thrust kick from here, as they spin to thrust at you this way, you are going to spin out of the way to their blind side. So this foot stays, this pivots, and you're right now right behind them, and then you counter punch at the target that's available. I enjoy that shift. Okay, next up is Bassai. Training for Bassai. It turns out that Bassai doesn't actually take as much room as you think it does. Most of it's in a straight line, so those steps we're going to double step on, but in a little room here, it doesn't really go more than a stance to either side, or half a stance in many cases. So just give yourself a foot or two from behind you, leave a foot or two to your side. We'll go through it this way, and I'll go through it facing the other way. Bassai, way, this way. 1, up, down. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1. 1, 2, 3. 1. I guess I didn't double step. 2. 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1. 1, 2. Nope, I need more room. Big turn. 1, 2, 1. 45. 2. 45 the other way. 3. I rest. A couple controversial things in the kata here. I'll try to explain it more so when I go through the individual moves. But actually, I'll explain it all when I go through the individual moves. Bassai facing this way, and in this case, I believe I am going to have to double step. Out. Bassai. Boy. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I rest. All right. Going through the individual parts. Grab your old fist. It just kind of sits here. Covers the vulnerable part in your ribs. Don't have it way out in front. Don't have your shoulders up. Just sits here. It's kind of heavy. Feel like it's maybe pulling you down a little bit. When you pull up, pull your right elbow across towards your shoulder. Pick your knee up across your shoulder. This way. Up, down, boom. In some of the hallway sessions, and maybe some of the other classes, we talked about kind of two parts to that lift. One is the contraction, where I've got a good control here, and then I drive it, bah. And one is the bounce, where it comes up and down all by itself. You want aspects of both of that. The timing is interesting in that I was at one point taught that it might be stronger if you pick it up this way and go 1, 2, and your back foot and your hands match. I totally know now that is not true. It is way, way weaker if you do it that way. It does, however, feel better. It feels better in your system in non-contact, when you're not hitting or flying it, to kind of go 1, 2. That has a nice settling sensation to it. Same is true of other kata, and going down 1, 2. But I know for a fact, if you hit something, you want your foot and your hand to match, or you maybe even want your hand to be first. So instead of 1, 2, it's going to feel really rushed if that's what you're used to. You're going to feel like 1, pat, and try to get it there by the time your foot hits. And if you have a pad that you're hitting or a person, it will make a tremendous difference. You get your body shock hitting the target. Oh, controversial points. The whole leg lift in and of itself is controversial. You'll see many styles now that do that. And it's not wrong. It totally depends on what they think the application is. For instance, I do Bassai Dai or Bassai Show that way. No leg lift. In Bassai Dai, I use the leg lift, and I encourage you to go to my YouTube channel and find my Kata for self-defense, find the Bassai Dai application video. I use it for hitting somebody with my knee, for kicking somebody with my foot. And so maybe they threw a punch, I'm covering it. Maybe they grab my wrist, I'm covering it. Oh, that's a loosener. And then you drop your body weight down on them. So I need the knee. I love it. I keep it. I don't do it if somebody comes along and says, oh, no knee. Okay, then don't do it while they're teaching. But when they go away, when they leave the dojo, go back to doing it your way if you really think that's the way it belongs. So anyway, try to keep your body straight, your spine straight, your head up. There's a sensation that your hips are driving forward and your knee and elbow are getting just a little left behind this way. They kind of wind into you as you move forward. It's a neat feeling, but then just remember to rush this a little bit. Although it is also totally possible to make that change at the moment you need it. I've gotten every person to do it within 1 or 2 strikes of hitting a pad. You just have to know when to apply it. So it is generally better, though, to practice things the way you're going to apply them, because under stress, you react with the way you've been practicing and not the way you think you're going to do it in your head. 1, up, down. From here, you're going to drive off your heel, and it feels like a straight line that way. So your body's way in, driving straight out, hips are sideways. And then pull this arm onto your side, 2 for this inside block. Then you coil this arm up, turn, bring your hip around, use your hip again, drive in, pull your feet together, squeeze here, lift, twist, and twist. This way. Now, as you do those series of blocks, it is another time when your bones feel like they're thrusting into the target and the body is, your muscles are pulling in kind of the opposite direction because they're helping to make you more stable. So I really encourage you to use your drawing arm, pull, 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 and this is a squeeze for this impact, pull, pull. If you get better at the squeeze, you don't stop there. You go 1, 2, 3, 4. It just glides through it. It's a mobile kime, a moving kime. But if you don't practice the stop part, what you see is people moving their arms and it has nothing to do with what their body did. So I am maybe oversensitive on matching your body and your arms and your feet and your expansion contraction as soon as possible, because some people go through their karate career without understanding some of these principles, and then at brown belt or shodan or 3rd dan or 5th dan, they figure out, oh my God, I never learned that. So I tell people when they're first learning it on the first time through the kata, as I do with beginners learning heian shodan or heian nidan. Not that I expect them to do it, I just want them to know that that's in there and that they have to practice it. So I think, yeah, I'll do the whole kata face the other way in a minute. So anyway, 1, 2, squeeze here, drive here. That's a big twist, drawing arm pulling back. Drive here. Now this settles forward, and your spine straightens up nice and tall. Your center projects the energy towards the target, and this kind of does a angle, a curve, and it kind of goes in a straight line. So it is true that it goes from straight here to straight here. That's true. It is true that it does a circle, but it's not either one of those. They're combined. So you can think of blocking somebody at the shoulder, which works only once in a while. You can think, instead of striking into the side of the neck, which works a lot more, You can think of blocking and catching a hand right there. Oh, there it is coming at my face. I caught it, and I'm going to grab it and pull it. But get your elbow to come across your center, project forward, and then out. Then punch straight for the middle, 1. Then coil your arm up here and drop, 2. So it has become very common nowadays, because people learn Kihon first, that they go 1, 2, 1, 2. I do not do it that way. I don't think it was meant to be that way. I think these are in Bassai, Kankudai, empty, up, down, that kind of motion, not a big block to the side. And again, if you look at my application video, you'll see why I think that. So I keep my drawing arm where it is, here, and then drop straight down, and then punch again, and then drop straight down. That's controversial. Another controversial thing is I'm going to move my left foot halfway in as this hand coils. I'm going to go 1, 2. And I know some people say, oh, that was never in the JKA. It turns out it was sometimes. If you watch some people in the more modern versions, they definitely do not. They leave their foot there and they just pull in and block. But some of them do a little adjustment and then they go, which might just be a mistake. But there are other styles that came from Shotoryu that have nothing or very little to do with our modern Shotokan. And they sometimes go 1, 2. And I think this matches a theme that shows up later in the kata at the very end, where you go 1, 2, 1, 2. Look at your foot, 1, 2, and then here again, 1, 2. So I think that's a consistent theme in the kata. I do it that way. If your instructor says don't, then don't do it that way. So anyway, here we go. I got this pressure. You go 1, 2. Oh, timing. This is straight. Do not coil your body here, and then this through your arm. So some people go 1, 2, 1, 2. Don't do that. You want your body twist and your drop to match your hands. So during the coil, it stays straight, and your body moves. 1, 2. Here's my foot. I'm going to block a technique coming from my face and shift out of the way. I'm going to go 1, strike the neck. And then do it again. 2, block, strike. 3, block, strike. Oops, I missed. Step back. So now you're in a back stance, Kukutsudachi. You're going to drive forward and do this. I want to talk about how your leg shifts and the 2 hip twists, 2 hip shocks. So what I absolutely do not want you to do here is go 1, 2. Instead, pretend like you're going to punch, and the twist moves your foot. You may have learned that in combinations. When you're here doing spear and strike, don't go 1, 2, go 1. And the spin comes first. Later, I will do a video about how that totally depends on your interpretation of what you think the move is, rather than one way being right and one way being wrong, except there are good body mechanics for one version and good body mechanics for a different version, and just randomly mixing them doesn't mean that you know what you're doing. So anyway, here, your center, your elbow comes to your center, your hip twists, this is a block. You reach through here with your hip, then you twist again as you grab and twist more, pulling down into your back leg. So it has 2 twists. 1, 2. 1, 2. 2 muscle actions. One's a drive, one's a pull. Kind of a wrap and a pull. Also, on my video, I did a whole separate video on just that little grappling part. So, anyway, 1, 2, shoulders are down, head are up. You should have your hand like this with a space here. These 2 fingers touch, this thumb touches. That's specific to mainstream Shotokan. There are other people doing the kata that put their hands in different places, different ways. This is a big deal for us. I think it shows up later in application on why that's important. you have a space here, kind of a frame between your shoulders, chest, and elbows and hands. You're going to pick your knee up in between that frame. So this stays, don't wiggle it around. You're learning to hold something and then coil your knee up. It's the same kind of coil we had at the very beginning action, where it comes up and bounces. Or it comes up and holds. And then you have to direct your energy down and pull this back to here this way. So this kind of stays where it is, and that drops. This hand position is another one that changes hugely among people who do Bassai or Passai, even from dojo to dojo. And it doesn't really matter. It matters that you do one specific way and learn from it, and then you'll be able to adapt later. The idea that this is stable while this moves is a good learning tool that helped me. But in reality, if you do this, if you have grabbed hold of somebody and you do this poorly, where you lean backwards and kick, it's actually way more effective, because the backwards lean pulls them out of balance and off structure. Your thrust is still plenty strong. So that is an example of a teaching tool that you may modify when you actually apply it. After this thrust, we're again concentrated on your left leg being stable, driving down to the floor. You're going to do 2 counts to turn. You're going to go 1 thrust, and then 1, 2 drive. This is similar to what I have people do in Heian Nidan or Heian Yondan. Heian Yondan here after the squeeze, 1, 2. Heian Nidan here after that, 1, 2. It's creating a base from your support leg, which in this instance is going to be your front leg, which does not happen very often in our traditional kata. So anyway, right here, 1, up, down, 2, strike, 3. Pull back to standing and lift your arms up here. They say it's like somebody's reaching for you. This hand is going to intercept. This hand is going to intercept, and they lift. Do not stay here, put this hand out here, and then pick them up. Do not disrupt your structure. So wherever you are, you're going to go 1 and just cover your face, and not 1 and have your hands up here and head up here. So anyway, 1 to here. Shock your arms and pick your knee up. 2, 3. It's a half a stance, super short. 4, drive. In modern non-contact systems, most of our shifting is driving off the back leg, moving the front one, and then bringing this one with us. Most of it is yoriashi, ba, ba. That very, very seldom shows up in traditional kata. And I think the reason has to do with distance and the training surface. If you are training on rocks and sand and grass and a trail and you have to defend yourself, a lot of the shifting stuff does not work. So the old style shifting was really one of 2 choices. You planted 1 foot and drove with the other, or you planted 1 foot and you pulled the back one up. So there's always a foot attached to the ground, and the first time you try something like this on sand or slippery floor, see how that goes. Be very careful. But it's way better if you have 1 foot stable all the time. So, because we're used to such distance and we want big actions, from here, we often go 1, and then we go 2 at basically a whole stance, and then we shift 3 for your punch. The person is right here, assuming they were trying to grab you. This maybe meet them in the groin. Pull your body together this way. Whoa, it just barely fits here. You can barely have room to hit them. And then drive forward again and finish them with a good solid back leg. Another controversial point here, this is traditionally taught up, around, in. On my video, you will see, I think this should be a double strike, not a sideways strike. many kata, but especially Bassai, were heavily modified to be safer for the public, so they didn't hurt each other. But more effective if you make little changes to them. So anyway, in this case, pull together, strike in half a stance, drive as deep as you want or can. Then you have to turn and block. Cover your face this way, drive. 2, standing up. 3. Having forward pressure as you're standing up is something that's difficult to learn. Here comes another one of these leg lifts that we practiced before. Your leg coils up and you squeeze, and then you drive down and in. Coil the weight into your right leg, drive out across. Crescent kick, elbow strike. 1, 2. Drop your body weight and hit down. 1, 2, 3. Coil and look to your right. 1, 2, drive. 1, 2, knee up, drive. 1, 2, knee up, drive. Big coil. I'm going to move a little bit. This hand stays down, your shoulder stays down. Elbow stays bent, I mean shoulder stays down. Your arm comes up and your whole body turns to the side. At the end, your fist should be elbow lower than your elbow. Sometimes that gets kind of missed. People do it this way. Sensei Nishiyama was real big on this. So I do it that way to make them happy. This one comes up coiled. 1, 2. Block your face, pull your back foot in. 1, 2. Pull them. 1, 2. Coil, strike. 4. So, I feel like I'm facing the wrong way here. I must have turned during one of my instructions. But, we'll try it again. The whole thing from this way. Bassai. Pick your leg up and pick your elbow across as your hip drives forward. 1, up, down. Big block. 2, pull. Your body's almost sideways. 3, pull. Big twist. 1, 2. I have to move. 1, squeeze. 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1. Coil, strike. 2. That's just for the room. 3, 4. 1, 2. Coil, thrust. 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Stab. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 3. 1, 2. 3. 1, 2. 1. Big turn. 2, 3, 4, 5. 8. The part where I keep saying cover your face, you should have learned in Heian Godan, where you're here and you drive this way. So me facing the camera, this, if a technique is coming right from my head, this hand's going to cover it and sweep it to the side as I stab him in the groin. So it's just an inherent part of the motion. Even if I don't think that's what the application is, I try to stay with the basic movements as much as possible. So in Bassai, it's basically the same thing. You went 1, 2, 3. There it is. Look at them. 4, 5. Pressure forward towards the target. All right. I think we're winding down here. I will try for one more Bassai. I'll go this way and maybe one that way. I haven't gone that way. Out. Passai. Away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Have to move over. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. All right. All right, rest. Last time. I'll try facing this way, see how it goes. Out. Bassai. Away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And rest. Okay, that is all. First few basics of the Shotoryu Institute. Bassai, the way I do it. Please like and subscribe to this video. Please train along. Just watching them cannot be that interesting. Please write to me with questions or comments. Thank you all for training. Class dismissed.